We're back.
Let's
Look at
go!
look at Stevie P. Stevie P. We got a new agenda for the podcast. We need to talk about what are we talking about today? We're going to be talking about a 4-1 win with Milan. We're going to talk about a VAR situation in Serie A. We're going to talk about where have you been because everybody's asking about you.
Everybody wants to know where I've been. We're gonna touch on the X busted tweets because we can't call it Twitter
Busted
anymore.
tweets. Yes, you're right. But what do we have in store? We have a game recap. We got Serie A recap. We have introduction to our Serie A fantasy league, and obviously Jan coming in with the busted tweets. Without further ado, do we have anything else to introduce today, Mr. Steve?
We're gonna talk about my new backdrop.
We are going to talk about your new backdrop. Look at that. Look at Stevie P taking the summer off with the beautiful designs in the back. And on that note, let's go.
Welcome to the Milan Weekly Podcast, the English voice of Milan fans all over the world, with your hosts, Vinny T and Stevie P.
Benvenuti nella casa
Giroud in area, si gira, sinistro, rete, gol capolavoro di Olivier Giroud.
Mignon with another magical save.
Teo Hernandez, coast to coast, del numero 19.
Leao carica il boccino. Eccolo qua, Rafa Leao.
Cari amici sportivi, welcome to your season. What do you call it? A season opening, a season.
The season sect opener.
There we go.
Opener.
Of Milan Weekly Podcast here, where we talk everything Milan, a on to Roma Milan, and what's up with VAR Milan? Because we're definitely going to be talking about that. Stevie P, Vinny T. Yes, the tag team is back. Thank you, Vinny Mancini. Steve, you know what? Before we get into it, I just want to take the time to welcome back. I know it was a long summer for you coaching your son. Thank you to Gio and Fabio for doing some shows. I know Patreon. I've been doing a bit of Patreon specials, but talk to us. Your fans want to know, Stevie P, how you been the last couple of months and your feelings for what at Milan has happened. What has happened with Milan until now. And since your departure.
Little hard to commit nowadays for the summer season, just with everything that goes on with local soccer. The bi-weekly Thursday show of the local soccer show, we put that on hiatus as well because everybody's busy during the local soccer season. So that'll start up as well soon. I think September 7th we'll start that and run every second Thursday with that. So podcast season for me starts about now. I do follow it, guys. It's just putting in a lot of energy in local soccer with my son's team. They're U10 now. We're playing tournaments. Milan Weekly Podcast sponsoring tournaments for them. So it's with the great help of this podcast that it lets me do that for my son. And in the meantime, I get to tell off a couple of kids and a couple of parents, so that always makes me feel good. Following Milan during the summer was a telenovela. Let's say that much. I felt like jumping on multiple times, but unfortunately, I had to hold myself back. I said I was going to take the time off, and I did. But look, this is what we signed up for. We knew it was going to be a project. We did not know that it was going to be that much of a 300 and I can't say 360, but let's say 345-degree turn that we took.
No, 360 would be back to where we were.
Back to exactly.
So 170, you want to say?
170 or 354, or whatever. Almost a full back to where we were. But I think both management and, the staff seem to have their project and things aligned. It hurt to see Maldini go. It hurt to see Tonali go, but as we said, Serie A is no business of refusing $80 million or $70+ million for Tonali. And we saw management put their money where their mouth is and reinvest it. So we're happy with that. And now we start with the beautiful Serie A season, ladies and gentlemen. That means Stevie P is back with a brand new backdrop.
Steve, talk to us about this beautiful backdrop. One of our, friends, social media friends, Digital Pro, I believe it's called.
Display Pro.
Display Pro. I'm very sorry. Display Pro.
It's
Steve,
Steven
looks,
Steven and the
Moore,
great guy, Steven Moore, and the great people at Display Pro, hooked me up with these. They're fantastic. They're an alternative to framing. He showed it to myself and Presidente one time, and I was blown away. I had tons of jerseys that my wife was begging me to get out of the closet and somewhere. She just wanted them somewhere.
Let's put them somewhere.
Exactly. So I said, you know what? It was a couple of years we were running with that backdrop. I had jerseys hanging, was looking for ways to frame them. And Steven came out like La Madonnina. Oh, the angel sung. There's two sizes, guys. You can see there from the backdrop. The bigger size can accommodate pretty much any jersey size, always made for soccer jerseys, where you can show the number. The small one is pretty much made to display the front of the shirt. And guys, you can mix and match and do everything that you want with these great things. They work on a magnet system. They're
not hard to set up, right?
There's not hard to set up at all. Again, I'm not very handy, and I was able to do what you see in the back all by myself. So
compliment.
Stay tuned to the Milan Weekly Podcast Instagram account. I'll be posting some other successes that I had with the Display Pro, but you check them out, Display Pro shop.
Display Pro, guys. And even though it's a lot to leads, like our Patreon member, Steve, that it's not going very well for Lazio in the first couple of games. But guys, look at that. Display Pro. Take a look in the back at Steve's background. If you want to be displaying your jerseys, whether it be the numbers, whether it be just the front, magnetic system, and if Stevie P can do it, you can do it. Stevie, the Toolman Taylor, Fuji's and Funyuns is saying there. Steve, we haven't spoken in a long time. Well, officially here online, and we've gone through 2 weeks. Obviously, leave it to Serie A to have le polemiche after just 2 weeks. But before we get into the polemiche, I wanted to get your thoughts. First win of the season, second win of the season. We're playing Torino this Saturday. What did you think about this game? It came with the same starting lineup, right, as we did with the opening game. But what were your thoughts on this game?
So after watching Bologna and the Torino matches, I was not surprised he came back with the same lineup. For me, big shout out. I'm very surprised at Ruben Loftus-Cheek. I think he's doing a hell of a job in the middle. We have the mystery man, Krunic. Again, Swiss Army knife doing what he does. Reindeer, another surprise. The Dutchman is something really nice to watch, guys. I know I was very hard on Tonali when he was playing at Milan, and he was somewhat of a negative player. A lot of his passes were backwards. I'm not trying to shade on Tonali, but I find with Reindeer, a lot of his passes. Sorry,
what a train. He's a train.
Yeah, he's so positive. His runs are positive. Again, I was pleasantly surprised by the midfield because it's almost a complete changeover, and we haven't really been suffering in that department the first two games. Now against Bologna, I think we did well. Against Torino, we did extremely well in terms of not suffering, but I know you're going to ask me about something that I think changed the game.
I wanted to ask you first and foremost, Steve, from the Bologna game to Torino, this midfield. I'm looking at Loftus-Cheeks. left butt cheeks, as we like to call him here, which we're gonna have nicknames for everybody. What a difference from, and I'm not taking anything away from Tonali by all means. Have you found that he's been much more present in the attacking form? I just feel like most of the time I'm seeing him in the attacking third. He's just running like a freight train, and I like what I see. And from all the preseason games, I know Reindeer's Rudolph has been very good, but left butt cheeks has been, for me, the most impressive so far. I don't know if you agree.
Yeah, look, it helps when you have someone on your right wing that you can make a pass to and expect to have a pass in return and not lose the ball. Again, so we suffered with that with Macias, from time to time with Salchicha Maker. And now we have Captain America. I know it's Fabio's man crush.
The fact that he
Pulisic.
scored 2 games in a row,
Yeah,
yeah, he's in
yeah.
love with Captain America.
But we see what difference the team has in terms of attacking just options in the final third, where last year we did not have it. And the
Yes.
year before we did not have it. And now they look a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more full of ideas, eager to get into that final third, confident to play from the right, not always, depending on Leao and individual skill to get either Giroud the ball. The midfield's more dynamic as well. They're getting involved. They're getting chances. That's all you could ask for from the first 2 games. And, that's a lot of changes. I was worried about having that many changes. But I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm negative.
No,
I would
Steve.
find every negative point there is. But from the 2 games, except for the little letdown that we saw against Torino when we let them back into the game after we took the lead, where they should not have been anywhere close to in the game. I have nothing bad to say about this Milan, except that Leao needs to find his feet.
I wanted to ask you, before I get into the penalties, and I know you were very vocal in the comments. From the Bologna game to Torino, Steve, I maybe this is a Serie A kind of thing, but why is it so hard to close off the game 10 minutes into the second half? You're winning 2-0, whatever the case may be. It just seems like a hard kind of thing. Look, we won both games. I think we deservedly won both games. But why do you think this is like a hard thing? Like even today, Inter, right? And winning 2-0. We're going to get into those scores after. But do you think this is like, is it a Serie A thing that's like, okay, we're winning 2-0. Let's play nice and calm and try to score one in the last 15 minutes? Or am I overthinking stuff?
I think the teams just adapt to what's happening in that 90 minutes that they're playing, and we don't give enough credit to the opposing team that they can make adjustments, they can fix the holes that are in their armor, and keep the game competitive, right? So we've seen the English Premier League with blowouts. We've also seen Serie A with blowouts, but I think that the teams are getting smarter, and it can keep the game under control for a longer period of time where we're not seeing that. But look, Milan scoring 4 goals, that's quite a bit in a Serie A match. We're not used to seeing that many. But I'd rather it stay close and be competitive than be just a one-sided affair where there's no soccer whatsoever. It's just running around chickens.
It's just like, playing a team like Torino, playing a team like Bologna, where you should be beating these teams easily. And let's talk about it right now, Steve. Let's talk about it. I know we spoke after the game. I'm trying to understand. Let's not talk about the Leao VAR, because I feel that was much more of a penalty. But I'm trying to understand, Steve, what rulings, and I think maybe that's the problem, that we don't know the rules of how a game is going on. Maybe you should go to take a look at this. And take a look at something, Steve. Let's be honest. That was a very, very, very controversial penalty. trying to defend, and it caught his fingers, and it came up from there. And all of us at the bar, we're all looking at each other, and we're all like, we're clapping, and none of us were like, yeah, goal. On the second one, I get it. He stomped over his feet, even though he didn't purposely. I know these are the new rules, but no true Milanista is going to sit here and go, well, yeah, we deserve that penalty, and it happened to us so many times. What are your takes on this? More to the rulings of the VAR, because we're going to talk about the Juve game after. There's just no consistency. I don't get it, Steve. I don't get it.
Yeah, no consistency. That stuff, for me, that's not a penalty. And I will never, ever accept that as a penalty. Will I take it? You know what? Okay. But if I put myself in the reverse situation where
that's what I was saying to everybody at the bar,
that type of penalty is called against Milan, I will be pissed off, because we're getting to a point where you're not letting the defenders defend anymore, and putting your hands out and, using a bit of your body to get some leverage and stuff. It's just not working out for these guys anymore. And every single time the ball's going to come anywhere close to their hand, they're going to risk a penalty shot. And I think the rule makers of the sport in general, and I don't even think this is on Serie A, this is across all the soccer platforms, they need to have like some sort of summit and come together and fix some of these rules for the better of the game.
Because, for me, Steve, I think where the controversy comes compared to Milan and Torino versus, the Juve game, is that Milan didn't need those penalties to win this game. And I find that we put a lot of emphasis on the Juve didn't play very good that game, and Bologna deserved to win, because I did watch that game. I just feel that, like, give us a rule here. I don't get it. I just don't get it. And again, like you said, I told everybody at the bar, guys, if this happened to us, what would you think? And the only comments that I got was, well, it happened to us last year. No, guys, no, because for a game to be stopped mid-game, right? And the other problem that I have too is it's like, well, I'm at church hours every morning, Steve. Yeah, but look at the EPL. It's so more exciting. And why is nobody talking about the refereeing in Manchester United game with the red card? Like, why isn't everybody just talking about Serie A? And I just think that Milan, knowing that we're going to win no matter what, and I'm going to say this very confidently, because we came up balling, as the kids would say, compared to a Juve game where it could have went both ways. It seems like le polemiche come up more where it could have went both ways. But give us an explanation. That's what my problem is, Steve. Why is it that the Milan game, 2 minutes after the fact, ascolta, deve vedere questo qua, right? Where the Juve referee goes, I saw them fall together. It's good, and he can't be forced to go watch the VAR. Should we not get a VAR for dummies kind of fucking book? I don't know, Steve. It's just confusing, and it goes back to last year's with this whole 15 points. Okay, we're gonna take it back. We're laughing stock, and I don't want my Serie A to be a laughing stock. I know you're very adamant about if things don't change, Serie A might not be around to watch.
Vince, it's too late. The Serie A is doomed. It's doomed. And there's no fixing it unless they want to fix it. The problem with this is that the people that are in charge don't think that there's a problem with it. And until there's a change there, this is going to continue. And they can't make they can't make up their own minds. They can't think outside of the box. And that's why negativity shifts towards the section of Serie A, and positivity shifts to the section of the EPL. It's just marketing 101, and they do it that much better than we do.
And you know what? I'm always going to back to my comment. I know you were off that time where, what's that team that just made it to the EPL that has a stadium with like 20,000 people, and it's in the middle of nowhere, where the media is like, look, what a fairy tale story. Look at this team. And then if you have like a Luka coming up to Serie B. Oh, what the give Vergogna the statement is not ready. Look at this kind of thing. It's just the way they present these kind of stories, right? So, the VAR justification penalty was given since the defender pushed the hand towards the ball rather than the ball coming intentionally touching that. No, I get you, but Steve, as he was saying, is that if we need Luton Town, thank you, Nathan. If we're gonna start calling penalties on this, these kind of like half-second kind of thing, I'm sorry, guys, it's ruining the game. And I'm just trying to understand. Milan was gonna win this game no matter what. I'm gonna tell you that.
Milan was gonna win. That penalty changes a lot. That penalty changes a lot.
What I'm trying to get at is that what makes the VAR referee call back this play, which, let's be honest, is not a blatant, oh my God, this was completely missed, right? This is a 50-50 call because he's not intentionally like, his arm is out or whatever the case may be. I just find that if Juve would have won this game convincingly, we wouldn't be talking about the Milan easy pens some people on Twitter did, which we're going to get into the busted, not Twitter, X tweet. But let me finish off before we get into new segment, Steve. So far, what you've seen from our beloved Milan, from the Tonali sale to now. And you know what? Let me take Timmy's comment to you. Hey, Steve, I missed you, buddy. Now that our great owner has finally brought us not one, but two right wingers, which position is next on your list? I would like you to answer it in Stevie P fashion by giving me a fucking blank, fill in the blank.
Get me a fucking striker, Christ. That's the next position. Giroud, at 40 years old, will not be able to play the amount of games. So we addressed the fucking right wing. They finally got me a fucking right wing.
Two of them, Steve.
Two of them. Well, it's 4 years we're asking for one, so they should have. It's nice that they gave us some depth at the right wing, but now it's the striker position. It needs to be addressed. We can't gamble with this type of team and this type of form right now, whether it continues or not. After the first two games, I think Milan look good. By letting injury dictate what happens to us during this because injuries happen, guys.
Yeah.
And at 40 years old, it's a miracle or science to the max how this guy, knock on wood, has not really missed that many games.
He says he feels like Ibra. The older he gets, the younger he feels.
Well, good for him, and
but
we'll
if
keep
he
him
gets
on
hurt,
there.
Okafor is not going to bring us to the Champions League semifinals.
That's
be honest.
it. So I think they've addressed their positions nicely. After striker, I would look at maybe trying to find another center back. I think we need a center back. I don't know if Pellegrini, the one that we got from Argentina, if he's a center back or not. I'm still not 100% convinced. It might be that he is. We'll see. And after that, Origi needs to go. Ballo Torre needs to go.
Okay, Steve, let me ask you this. Who's actually leaving? Looks like Salchicha Maker is going to...
I feel bad for Salchicha Maker. I feel bad.
Because he did his job.
Because I think he did his job.
At the best of his capabilities, even though it wasn't to our
If it's him who
expectation.
wants to leave to get starting minutes somewhere else, by all means, I think they're doing the good thing and granting him that. I wish he would have stayed and created some depth. I would have also liked to maybe see him, play the actual position that we bought him at right back and maybe learn how to play there and extend his career with Milan because Calabria is not putting in the greatest of performances. But Salchicha Maker going to Bologna and staying in Serie A, I think that's a good pickup for Bologna. And I think for his career starting minutes,
Before I get into the Serie A recap, Steve, I wanted to ask you about De Catalare. I think we both were on the same wavelength where I think it was a mistake to sell him outright. I think we were both on the same wavelength that give this kid another chance. Do you think this is a good move for, let's just say he starts ripping it up at Atlanta, which I don't think so. But, I felt the happiness in him scoring that one goal in the first game. But just like Hauge, when he left Milan, he scored 2 goals in his first game, like Mark Struper was telling us, and he didn't do shit after that. But do you think it was a good move for the loan con diritto di riscatto?
Yeah, they give them the option, and we'll see what it is. I think CDK is talented, and I've never hid the fact that he's talented. I think moving from a league to the Serie A takes some time to adapt to, and I don't think he ever adapted last year. And we spoke about it. Yes, give him another chance, and give him some extra minutes. The problem is that when he got the chance and he got the extra minutes, he looked like he lost his dog all the time.
Yeah.
He moped around. He was not engaged in the game at all. And that at Milan, it seems, with this coaching staff and this management, you will not last. And you spent $35 million on this player for Serie A. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. So it's either you start playing or we move you. Now, Atalanta is very good at that. Now, Atalanta going in and pick him up does raise some eyebrows across the internet world, right? Why is Atalanta going in? Atalanta also cashed in a shit ton of money.
85 they got from
85 for someone who played half a season last year. Didn't play. He played a full season of Serie A, performed for half, and was completely dead the second half of the season. Had no more legs. Hold on.
Come si chiama?
Hold on. It's the HO with the 2 dots. So
the HO with the 2 dots? Is that what you just said?
Yeah, HO and the 2 dots on top. All jokes aside, I think he's a great player too. But teams now are just splashing, $85 million on a gamble. You're gambling with this type of player. You're not guaranteed you're going to get the Atalanta player playing in the EPL because it's 2 different games. Yes, so now let's see what CDK. I wish him the best. I hope he tears it up, except the games that they play against Milan. And and if it does resurrect his career, we could use him at Milan. And I am pretty sure they're gonna want to retain some of that, or cash in on some of that $35 million that they spent.
It is what it is, and guys, it is time. It is time for what time it is. This Serie A recap is brought to you by Fubo TV, the home to Serie A and even some other leagues here in Canada. Guys, bring it to your nonno, bring it to your father, show them how to use the Fubo app TV. They can watch it in Italian. I taught a couple of guys at the bar, Steve, in the last couple of weeks that ma questo si può vedere in italiano. Yes, you could be watching it in Italian. Presidente only watches in Italian. But Fubo TV is sponsoring this Serie A recap. Steve, Frosinone Atalanta, people wanted to get excited about De Catalaris scoring on his first game, but Frosinone beating Atalanta on this on week 2. Do you think Atalanta is going to be one of these surprise teams? I know it's hard to say after 2 games, but what do you think? Maybe your thoughts about this score?
I think Atalanta needed to check the Fubo TV schedule and make sure that they knew what time the game was starting, because they were not there for the first half of the game.
Liban Youssef is asking you for a specialty.
Yeah, I know. We're going to do that. And once they finished getting over the 2-goal deficit that they were in, they started to remember that there's a soccer game to be played here, and started to get back into it. And I think Atalanta made up for that. They did put on a bit of a clinic in the final half. They had a lot of pressure. They had a lot of goals that I thought they should have buried to at least salvage a point. But I tip my hat to Frosinone. They were playing at home in front of their crowd. And it was their scudetto, this win against Atalanta.
It was. And Mimoujan, est-ce que vous êtes au Milan Fan Club vendredi pour le match? Oui, Oui, nous serons là, situé à Montréal. Jean, viens nous voir au Chicharo Sports Bar. Check it out on Google Maps. That's for you, Luben and Youssef. Monza beating Empoli 2-0. Steve, do you think Monza is going to be another team that's going to bother a lot of... is going to take away points from top 4 teams this year? I know it's only 2 games, but what you're seeing so far?
Monza seems like they're going to be a chop buster. They're going to play everybody difficult. I just think they're not deep enough. And I think that was the same thing, the same answer we gave last year after we labeled them as, for sure they're going down.
We were quite wrong at the beginning of last year,
wrong.
but
very wrong.
Good,
That's why predictions are left to the professionals.
We're gonna wait until 10 games in, but good on Monza. Steve, 1 point in 2 games. Roma being Roma, supposedly Big Rom is being signed as we speak. We're facing them on Friday. I did not like this score because of this coming game on Friday. Verona beating Roma. What do you think, dude?
I can't figure out Roma because I think they have quality. Yes, they're lacking a striker like us. I think Tammy Abraham is on the shelf for quite a bit of time, at least until January, if I'm not mistaken. He suffered an injury. Belotti started off, with 2 goals, match day 1. So we thought that, maybe this would, keep them in it for a while. But I think Mourinho changes things up a bit. I think they'll be much more defensive against Milan.
That's what I think, yeah.
In the past, if I take the 2 games that Milan played and the 2 games that Roma played, in the past I would be worried. And I'm not saying that Milan's gonna walk in there and we're gonna beat Roma. But what I'm saying is that last year against a Bologna or a Torino who would sit back and defend, Milan would have trouble breaking down those low blocks. If Roma decides to do that and they watch the tape, they will see that Milan is comfortable in possession, and now the low block, they have different options. The miracle of the right wing, Vinny.
The miracle of the right wing.
The miracle of the right wing. We have more options to break down that low block. So I expect them to, show that respect to Milan just in terms of what they can do. Again, they could also show up and decide that they want to ball out and they want to go for glory. I still have it right here.
That 2-2
that 2-2 draw where we played the game of the season last year and we lost it in like the last 15 minutes of the game. So Milan has a tough test on Friday with Roma. Let's see what happens.
Before the 2-week break. Now let's talk about it.
Why the hell are we breaking for 2 weeks?
That's the international break, Steve. Mancini went to Saudi Arabia. Spalletti, De Laurentiis doesn't want to giving us money. Now it's okay, everything is fine, but leave it to European soccer to break after 2 weeks. But we are coming back against Inter. But I want to let's get straight into it, Steve. I don't know if you have a sound effect for Juventus Bologna, because on one part you have Mailo Visto. They fell together, and then Allegri's response was, what are they talking about? There was 2 penalties for us. And you know what, Steve? Chapeau to Thiago Motta. I don't know if you saw his post-game interview. He said nothing, Steve. He said nothing. He goes, no, I'm going to bed. They're asking him about I'm going to bed and I'm going to sleep fine tonight. And I'm just going to think about next game. Didn't say a single word. But Juventus Bologna. Why does these things have to happen every time in a game where Juventus is involved? And I'm not saying that Juve has preferential treatment, Steve. I'm not one of those guys. But this referee has been known to have a lot of mistakes. And again, what is the point of, well, we're going to suspend them for a week or two? What is it? I don't know what that proves, Steve. They came out and said, the AIA came out and said, this was a big mistake. Let's suspend them for 2 weeks. What does that do?
Look, that's again Serie A and what they have to do with the the FIGC and whatever refereeing committee we have. They need to fix that. I like to stick to the game. I think Bologna showed up to play. They were not afraid to play Juventus at home at the Allianz. I think Juve playing at home, it was a complete different Juve than what we saw last week, where Gazzetta dello Sport said, è ritornato Juve, Juve è rinata, la vecchia signora è rinata. L'acqua delle montagne scende sopra la vecchia signora e una doccia di fiori.
Jesus Christ.
And then, against Bologna, they lay an egg. They lay an egg up until they realize that they need to play soccer. Or Allegri lets them play soccer, because it showed at times where he's, let's let them loose a bit. And you activated Chiesa, you activated Vlahovic. There was some positive changes. They brought in Ingles Jr., the Englishman, or traditionally, whatever his name is, the Englishman who whipped in the cross for Vlahovic and the tie. And Bologna at a certain point had trouble getting out of the back. They did make some changes where it did fix them a little bit. They got lucky where one of Juve's goal got called offside, the miracle offside that we don't know in their defense, where we still don't know that rule. And then VAR saves Juve, because let's be straightforward and frank here. That's a penalty shot. If we're giving penalty shots
for
in the Milan
fingers.
game, not only hitting 4 fingers, deflecting off the player in front of you's head, and you can't keep your hands up, honestly. And then we're not looking and we're not giving penalty shots for what happened in the Juve game. We have a problem. And we got through someone else. So I'm going to tell you this story. So I have a friend who's at the Juve game, the Allianz.
All right.
Now, this friend will never tell me directly. So he told another friend, because he went to Italy and he saw 2 games.
All right.
So he saw one at the Olimpico, Roma, and one at the Juve, at the J Stadium. So, in a nutshell, he said, I'm not going to name any names.
Don't.
That the J Stadium's ambiance is nothing compared to the Olimpico's ambiance. And he's a Juventine.
Okay.
So the plastic Juve fans are also getting a gut check, where they have to realize that they need to show up and support their team, and not only boo when they have to.
You need to do what us Milanistas did for the last fucking 10 years. Go fucking support your team.
Suffer and support.
Fiorentina Lecce 2-2 on this one.
Fiorentina was winning 2-0. 2-0 in this game.
Steve, these little teams are going to give... This is what I want from you here. These little teams don't cause us any problems. That's what I want. But Fiorentina winning 2-0. They won the first game. 2-2 on this game here. Playing at home especially. But let's talk about Lazio. Steve, 0 points in 2 games. Losing at home to Genoa. Losing last game. Who did they lose to? Salernitana? No, not Salernitana. They lost to... Guys, help me out in the comments. Is there things to panic? Because I know we like to make fun of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Shout out to Steve on our Patreon group. He's the only Lazialista in our group, and he was losing his fucking mind. But would you be worried if you're a Lazio fan? Lecce, thank you.
I would be worried, because I don't want to start a season on the wrong foot where the first portion of my season is quote unquote the easy portion of the season. So, for them, if you're schedule watching and you're a Lazio fan, you see, I have Lecce week 1, Genoa week 2.
No, you know what? You're
Can,
right on that
can
one.
I get some
Steve,
points?
Lazio is not capable of losing these 2 games and then beating the top
Obviously,
4.
Lazio can do a complete 360, and I think that it's not all doom and gloom. I've watched both games, and I think they do some things well. I don't know if they have the confidence anymore, or if they believe in Sarri ball. And
Luis
that's
Alberto, el malo de Pancha, like every other
exactly.
season. And Immobile, is he leaving? Is he not leaving? It just seems like every single year, Lazio, there's something happening. But this is, Steve, when was the last time that they performed this badly for the first 2 games?
Well, I can't say I remember the last time they performed this badly. But what I can say, and I'll quote our friend Steve from the Patreon group, is there's a big, huge hole in that midfield, and it's SMS. That's everybody said, SMS, not the best midfielder in Serie A. Oh, he went, he left. Whatever reasons he had for leaving, by all means, I'm not gonna comment on that. For me, I think it's a mistake where he went there. But again, I'm not SMS, and I don't know my family.
He makes his own decisions.
Exactly. We're not going to talk about that for all these transfers to the Saudi league. What I will say is that Lazio miss him a ton more than they thought they were going to miss him. Let me tell you that much.
Yeah. Napoli, no surprise here. Sassuolo, from what I've seen in the first 2 games, Steve, I don't know if Sassuolo is going to be that ball buster the way they've been in the past years, but Napoli, just like Milan, hey, so far so good, putting up the 3 points. A red card to Sassuolo, I get it, but I don't see in any shape, way, or form that Napoli was going to lose this game, especially at home.
But I find Napoli look a little bit different than last year.
They do.
I think it's the Campionato hangover might kick in a little sooner rather than later. Sassuolo needs to figure out this Berardi situation.
He's not going anywhere, Steve.
Of Berardi, I understand, but it's either he plays or they move on from him. So try to get whatever you want from him, but let's move on because you're destroying people's fantacalcio. That's number 1. Number 2, let the team grow, and if it's someone else who's going to take his place, let the person play without having this huge shadow that is Berardi, because he's a god for Sassuolo, lingering in the background for a position. That's all I say. But Napoli's been also very impressive. I think Osimhen, injury-free. I would pick him this year for Capocannoniere.
Salernitana Udinese 1-1 today, nothing to write home about. And finally, Inter Cagliari. I know, Steve, us as Milanistas, before we watch these games, maybe Inter is going to fuck up, but in the end, they played a subpar team. They did what they needed to do. But I go back to the conversation I was having you before. A team that's winning 2-0 after one half. It seems in Serie A have a hard time. Just close the fucking game. Just close off. And Cagliari almost scored, Steve, in the 82nd or 83rd. I was watching today, open net. And anyways, it just Inter got the job done.
Yeah, 2-0 in Serie A is, in other sports leagues, it's the worst lead that you could have in sports. In Serie A, most often than not, I think that 2-0 is pretty much closed. You will, like you said, Cagliari did scare Inter a little bit, but I think Inter, after 2 games, I think they have 0 goals conceded. That's something that they had a little bit of trouble with last year in conceding goals. Till they decided to put Onana in nets. So it's going to be interesting.
Onana look at Manchester United. Jesus.
No. I'm so happy that you brought that up.
Why?
Because you know what? This is unbelievable, guys. We have lost all logic in soccer, guys.
What he did in that play against Nottingham,
Yeah.
Dude, that's not worth $60 million.
Yeah, and what about the $139 million center backs that can't stop the ball?
I have no argument to that.
No, you have to, because the rest of the people need to realize that that's a problem. Because if you're getting scored on breakaways, we have a serious problem. You could have whoever you want in nets. There's a good chance. Now, did he look like he was prime technique of goaltending standards? Clean sheet standard technique? We're going to shout out my friend Reno. A clean sheet. If you have a goaler, send him to clean sheet. No. But Vinny, go look at that play, and everybody needs to go look at that play, guys.
You're right. It just I know from all the clips, it looks bad on him. And
They
if
put
you
him in
have
a Formula
this
One car.
400 million backline, in you shouldn't be having that left.
But it's so exciting, the EPL, Steve. It's so dynamic.
Terrible soccer.
There's so much action
football
in the EPL.
That's the only thing I hear. Anyways, Steve, I wanted to take you through some of the Patreon questions. Nicholas, understand it's only 2 games, but and you, like myself, will probably judge the players when derby time comes around. But who was impressed so far? I feel like Rangers just need some more cohesion with his through balls, which will come in time. Nicholas, I'm not sure which games you've watched, but Rangers was the first midfielder to do 100% passing accuracy. I don't know how many years, but maybe he's watching a different game. He's seeing the game differently than me. But who's impressed you so far, Steve? I know we spoke about Loftus-Cheeks, but Rangers has been... You can't take anything away from from Rudolph.
Yeah. Reindeer, very positive. I like it. I think there's still a lot of work. I think he's young. Ruben Loftus-Cheek, some people said invisible. For me, if Ruben Loftus-Cheek and Krunic are invisible, where I'm not hearing their names from the commentators, that pretty much tells me that they're doing their job. Because that means the person on the other side or whoever they're marking is not receiving or getting or making an impact in the game. But I agree with what you said earlier. Loftus-Cheek has been more offensive, in the offensive third. But we have to give it to him. I am totally surprised. I did not think that he would have this much of an impact this early. Right wing, Captain America, Pulisic. I think Chucky, at the price that we paid him on the right-hand side, we're going to have to figure out a way to get them on the field and get him some minutes.
On a side note, Steve, I'm going to ask you, Vinny to Steve, that's been my discussion with a lot of the guys before we head into the next questions from Patreon. If Chucky plays well, Pulisic plays well, what do we do, Steve? Do we turn Leao into a striker? Somebody would have mentioned turning Leao into a striker, but I'm like, every time we put him up as a striker, when Ibra was hurt, he didn't perform very well. So do you do a 4-2-1? Like, what do you do, Steve? Let's just say, because let's be honest, Steve, we didn't play Chucky 35 million on his last year of his contract to ride the bench. No. So what do you do, Steve? Franco saying 4-2-3-1. Okay, maybe. Do you see then what do you put Oka for? I know we didn't pay much for him, but do you see a 2-striker system?
You can only play 11 players. That's number one. People have to understand that. Players have to come in understanding that. You want to play, perform. So Okafor wants to see the field. Unfortunately, you're a left wing there, buddy, and you're going to have to beat out Leao.
Forget Okafor. So let's talk about Pulisic and Chucky.
They have to play
Leao
for
ain't
that
going to take the
position.
bench.
They have to play for that position. You want to play, perform. That's what it is. He started with Pulisic. He saw something in Pulisic in practice, and he started. He has 2 goals. And not only the 2 goals, I can care less about the 2 goals if he hasn't played well. He's actually been playing well. So, barring injury, right now that right wing is his. And Chucky at 30 million, he's got to figure out how to get on the field.
Yeah.
But Pioli needs to give them a fair shot. So I don't know what and how he's going to rotate, because after the Roma game, there's 2 weeks off. And then we're going to see a Derby della Madonnina after this stupid international break. I don't know where Roma, Chucky fits in right now.
Against Roma, is he starting with the same lineup, Steve?
Absolutely, he's going to start with the same
Definitely. Gio says, welcome back, legend. No questions, just ready to end my Monday night on the high. Gio will see who can accompany you on Coast to Coast on Wednesday. If not, we're going to have to postpone it because Fabio's on a vacation. in Ecuador. Lab Gorilla, how you been, Stevie P? I hope the summer treated you well. That's it. Just wanted to know how one of the big guns of MWP is doing and helping. He will return to his regular spot. So a shout out from Lab Gorilla to you, Steve. You are the star of the show. You
Lab
see?
Gorilla is the best. We started our relationship on destroying
On-
each other in comments, and now we're now he's asking me how my summer went. Love Lab Gorilla.
And Ryan Person, hey guys, how amazing is that we pick up the first goal of 2 in a match and can control the game from there? I think that will help more than people think in the long season. If we keep scoring first, that teams will not feel like they are in the game until late, or we have to push our hardest to claw back into the game so we can rest and recover. Ryan, obviously going by the first two games, but how important is it, Steve, to score that first goal? Because that hasn't happened very often for us where we took control of the game as per se. But you think this is going to be something that's going to be different this season coming on?
So after the first 2 games, I noticed that our first step and our first mentality is to get forward and to be dangerous. And now they're starting to be dangerous with options and different dynamic link ups. So after the first 2 games, yeah, it feels good to score first. I want to see now against Roma, which is is a tougher test. No disrespect to Torino and Bologna, but Roma will be a tougher test.
Yes,
I want to see if we can still keep up the same intensity, the same grit, and I want to see this team if it's 0-0 second half, how do we react? Then we could start looking at that 10-game mark where we'll make our first, we'll call it a grade of how the season
analysis of the season. So far, we always, Steve, nobody could tell us otherwise because we've always done this every single time. Every season we've been on, me and you, we always try to judge 10 games in. During the banter years, it came worse and worse and worse. But we'll see 10 games in. On that note, guys, before we get into, because Jan, the thing I'm loving right now is that we are playing attacking football. Hopefully, this translates to the UCL. That's why we lacked even in our wins. Vincent, hopefully, I know it's 2 games. I want to keep my feet on the ground, right? Just like Juventinis saying that they're victims. Keep that same fucking energy, Juventinis, because if a penalty gets called against you, out of that, keep the same fucking energy. That's the one thing I'm saying. It's nice to know we're doing this back knowing Diaz is starting because he is our best option 2 games in, and we're already seeing progress and complete. Vinny, you're right, dude. Nobody's talking about Brahim Diaz right now. Thank you, Brahim, for what you did for the team, that you helped us do what you for the last 3 years, Steve? Was it there for 3 years? I think it was. Franco Muyo, thoughts on Taremi? Is that be happy with the signing? If it happens, Steve, it's got to be a good price. He's 31, 32.
Yeah, he's 31 years old. I'm not paying 30 million for this guy. They say that they want to. I love the way the newspapers put it. They want 30. We're going to offer 15. Like, I wish life worked like that, and I could work my mortgage, my next mortgage on that system. You want 300? I'll give you 100.
Okay, let's move the conversation. Colombo, is this his time, Steve? How many years do we have to put him on? How long? I get to the conversation where Colombo's not going to bring you a Champions League, and I get that. But if you don't get these kids to play, and kids, I'm exaggerating because he's been there for a while, and I don't know, Steve. What do you think? Do you loan him out to Monza?
We're gonna have to loan him out to Monza. I don't think if we need that striking presence. I don't know if he has the big game boots yet to wear that Milan shirt to bring us to that next level. That's for sure. And they've invested so much, and they've rolled the dice with Zlatan and Giroud, and it failed them. So now I would hope that they understand. Now 31, you're saying, wow, as a regular person, I don't think that's very old. In soccer years, I think it's getting up there. Yes, diet.
Not everybody's a Giroud.
Yes, not everybody's Giroud, but diet, facts, and muscle training has all changed. The actual age of a soccer player. We've seen him at Porto. He's very intelligent. I think he's also makes his teammates better, which is something different. Not saying that Giroud doesn't, but more so. So it would be an interesting signing, but he's also 31. So are we going down that same rabbit hole again? Unfortunately, I don't think we have the money to buy the Jonathan David, the
No.
big striker that we want. They want another, the Hugo. Hugo, I'm never gonna pronounce his last name, from PSG on loan, and now Ekete. And now it seems like I think West Ham is gonna overtake us. Surprise, surprise. Because they're going to probably be able to throw a ton of money to him on wages. So we don't know. Let's see. We need a striker.
Let's see, guys. This Friday, Milan Club Montreal. We will be at Chicharo's, myself, for the game. We will have a pre-game chat. Stay tuned to the channel. Steve, I believe that Presidente made us a nice little... Where is it? You got to subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to the videos. Would it be our Patreon family? Would it be the specials, group therapy, pre-game chats? We will be there. Monday, Stevie P, tu sei impegnato, as we would say in Italian. We will see who will get next Monday. If not, we'll see each other after the 2-week break. Steve, SERIEAFANTASY.com. In the comments, guys, there's the code for the league. Steve, Fantacalcio, how's it been for 2 weeks? You've made some changes. What's going on?
I'm struggling in the Fantacalcio.
Struggling?
I've always struggled in the Fantacalcio. Seems like everybody that I pick lays a big fat egg. So that's why I stay away from the Milan players. And now the Milan players are doing great. So
are performing. And so, guys, if you want to join our league, always great prizes last year. Official kit given to the winners. So it is in the comments. Steve, it's been a while. Last time we did this was me and you. Jan coming to the rescue. And it is not busted Calcio tweets anymore. It is busted X. What is it? Reposts? What is he calling it, Elon, now?
Reposts.
So
I'm going to call it busted X.
Busted X. I'm going to pull up what Jan had giving us as comments of his tweets, because he saw sometimes we get a little confused with his stuff. So let's see.
Ragazzi, ciao Ale, come stai? Ciao Presidente, il vero Presidente, come stai te? Tutto bene? Tutto bene, grazie.
Presidente, the best.
Jan, what do you have for us? Slide number 1. So, Bologna FC, Fenucci. It is unthinkable that such an incident would not result in a penalty and sending off. In the age of technology, it is an unbearable situation. It is madness not to interfere on occasions like this. And Jan's like, Bologna tweeting like babies, not a good look. Act like a club and not fans. And I'm going to go with Thiago Motta. Didn't say a single word. Just said, I'm going home. I'm thinking about the other game. Steve, this is not... I get it. They have the right to be mad, but you can't be tweeting out this stuff as an official club.
No, I agree. I like that they're angry. I like that they're angry in front of the camera. I would just never put it in writing. I find this is a bit childish that you're using your social media account to and again, is this something that Bologna wanted to do? I don't know. We'll let the Bologna admit deal with that problem, but it is busted because it's something that's it's translated or it's taken from the conversation that he's having with a journalist while he's saying this,
taken out of context, translations.
You can't tell. I'm an old-fashioned guy. I want to see it. I don't mind them losing it on camera, and getting mad and taking the fine. This is because he doesn't want to get fined, right? He's not going to get fined for a tweet, for a repost or whatever the hell they're calling it, right? So go in front of the TV, Bologna. Don't worry, Mr. Saputo.
He did. Saputo supposedly lost his mind, but he didn't go in the dressing rooms. He said he didn't go in the.
No. But you lose your mind, and you're supposed to be pissed. And this is exactly what the league needs. They need people to stand up and try to help fix. Again, if I'm Torino and I'm Cairo, I'd be losing my mind on that penalty shot too.
Fuji's and Funyun, we missed you, buddy. We missed you, always with the puns there. On the next one, Jan sent us, we're not Milan, so we won't get a pen. Juve fan crying about Milan penalty kick. We're not Milan, so we won't get a pen. This is a Juventus fan saying, Steve, can you explain me something? In the history of Serie A, I think last year we were one of the teams that where are they getting this from? We were never the team that had the most penalties, and even us on the last game, we were like, that's a pen? Okay, like true Milanistas, but what the fuck is this, man? Seriously.
Liban, my brother from another mother.
That did come from Fujin and Funyun. That was his terminology, and he's got a whole crew going on with the Juventusism.
Juventusism. It should be something that should be looked at by the WHO. You know,
the WHO?
Yeah, the WHO.
The World Health Organization?
Exactly, because it's a pandemic, guys. And again, nothing to discredit what we went through, but some of these Juve fans need some real help, because don't they know that this is gonna come back on them? Like, this is what really freaks me out about social media. It's like, this guy, he said, you know what? I'm gonna put this, and I'm gonna post
673 views.
Yeah, exactly, from Earth. I love that. 2003-08-27 from Earth. So you could tweet from another planet on Elon's X, or no? Guys, it's something that will never end. They are a fan base that is completely entitled and spoiled for the last 10 years.
I hope, for the love of God, Milan Juve, that we get a call back 2 minutes after the play, just like we did in Torino, and go, it slipped his index finger, so Milan penalty. I'm gonna love that so fucking much. Oh man. Anyways, what else did he have for us, Jan? Number 3, Chiesa will make the season making his season this season his 2 goals tomorrow, and he says Chiesa, who is really overhyped by everybody. So Art Vandalay saw one game, just like the people that, we got rid of CDK, he scored a goal, and oh my god, and look at CDK, and this guy Chiesa scores a goal, and he's the next coming of Christ. I'm not taking anything away from the Chiesa's performances, but Chiesa is a gift from God, the Stevie P.
Art Vandalay has to take it one step at a time. The problem with Chiesa is really it's how much Allegri is going to loosen the leash. So
that's true. So mental, who doesn't take these kind of cases? Fadi tells you, Steve, and yes, mental health does matter. And what did he finish us off with? Twitter clown claims to be an expert about PKs. Again, Milan PKs. Never a pen in my expert. So this is our friend at the Napoli Sansone. Never a pen, Steve. I know that you never liked our saying we're not professionals, nor do we pretend to be. At least we never pretended to be expert. But did you know that Napoli Sansone is an expert? He's working in the at Paramount Plus. He's working for
in the VAR room. Sansone.
He's going in the VAR room. Okay, but according to him, never a pen in my extra opinion. You don't need to tell us, dude. We know. But he just wanted to let us know about his expert opinion, Steve.
You're busted.
And you know what, guys? We're going to have so many of these in the coming year. And Steve, I'm not going to... did you see that the Geo found the picture of Lupo? He sent us a picture of Lupo. And this is always the Lupo Award, guys, we're going to be getting. Because there's been a couple of tweets in the... reposts?
Let's just stick with tweets. Who cares?
Let's just stick with tweets. But... guys, on that note, thank you so very much for joining us for the season premiere. Me and Stevie P, at one point, close to 80 live viewers. We got Roma on Friday. This is going to be, Steve, our first real test, because that's the only thing I'm afraid of. Excuse me, is the 1 point in 2 games from Roma. Mourinho is not a, pushover. They're going to come out banging. I don't think Lukaku would play. Steve, would you?
I don't think he's gonna play. I really don't think he's
Would
gonna
you?
play.
Would he force him, even though he's been training by himself? I don't think he would force him.
I have no idea if he's gonna force him, but I would be surprised. Maybe as a sub, depending on how fit he is. But I would be surprised that he's there. But let's see if the Dybala is pulled up with a muscle injury again. So we'll see if hopefully Dybala could make it. I want to play best Roma, best Milan, and we take it from there. There's no other way to look at it. We have no choice. This is the Scudetto. We're gonna play everybody 2 times. Let's go.
It is what it is, good gentlemen. So to all the live viewers, to our Patreon members, to the group chat, Steve, we're up to like 4 women in our group chat, and sometimes I gotta tell the guys,
Amazing.
keep it down, guys, keep it down, because there's some women in this group. Switzerland, we got like 4 members from Switzerland. They like Milan Weekly Podcast. Stay tuned, guys. If we can make it happen for Coast to Coast on Wednesday. If not, we're going to meet each other on Friday for a pregame chat. Steve won't be able to make it next Monday. 2 weeks off because Serie A, obviously. But, Steve, would you take this 2 weeks off now after 3 weeks? Or would you take the winter break?
I don't like the 2 weeks off now.
So you would prefer to play now and take 2 weeks off on Christmas?
Yeah, I think it just falls better.
Okay, I think I like the idea of actually for once not just being able to watch EPL during the Christmas break. So we shall see what goes on here. And we're playing Roma. We have to come back and play Inter. We do have Juventus after that. And yes, we're gonna have our 10 game in recap of the season. But Steve, I'm just gonna ask you, because we haven't spoken to you in a while, from the Tonali sale to now. And I think you were always more on my wavelength of let's wait and see. So far, your thoughts on Milan. And I know it's hard, Steve. I know, because we're always the kind of people, we don't like to judge after.
Wait and see. That's what I am. I cannot say good or bad. I was impressed, but there's a lot of games. There's another 36 games. So let's see what happens against Roma. I'll be able to give you more detail as we go on. Roma, I want to win. I want 3 points. The stupid international break, and then coming back for a very tough Inter game, which I really want to win. So let's pick up the pace.
Is Origi leaving?
I hope so, because he's not going to find the field, and unfortunately, that's on him.
That's definitely on him. And on that note, does he have our out? Where did he put our outro video? Okay, there it is. So on that note, guys, Stevie P, thank you for coming back. We shall see each other probably in 3 weeks. Stevie P and Vinny T, as always. Stay tuned, guys. Like, subscribe, join the Patreon family, join the crazy chat that we have going on over there. But ovunque e sempre.
Forza Milan!
Forza Milan, guys.
Non ti lasceremo mai.